Stop now. Look at the glowing rectangle in your hand and admit what you are truly doing. You are performing an emotional autopsy on a corpse that doesn't even belong to you anymore. Have you ever wondered why you feel like a 2D animated character trapped in a loop, repeating the same lines, chasing the same ungrateful ghosts, and wondering why the scenery never changes? It is because you are currently an undead entity. You are a walking sarcophagus for a version of yourself that should have been buried years ago. Today, perhaps more than ever, we are encouraged to be ourselves, but society neglects to tell you that your current self is a patchwork quilt of other people's traumas, your mother's insecurities, and the desperate need for a like from a digital stranger. You are a biological puppet being moved by the rusted strings of your past failures. If you want to rule your world, you must first become the executioner of your own history. You must die before you can truly exist. Imagine the archetypal subject of our era, the persistent hopeful. He is a vector-animated caricature of a man, vibrating with the frantic energy of a lab rat pressing a lever for a pellet of validation that never arrives. He thinks that if he just improves 10%, if he just buys a better car or masters a new witty retort, he will finally be worthy. He is trying to paint a rotting house while the foundation is sinking into a swamp of self-loathing. Machiavelli, the cold-blooded architect of reality, understood that a prince who tries to build a new fortress on the ruins of an old, corrupted one is destined to be crushed when the walls inevitably collapse. You cannot renovate a ghost. You cannot negotiate with a version of yourself that was designed for a life you no longer want. You are carrying a corpse on your back, wondering why you can't run. To become the sovereign of your fate, you must drop the body and let the wolves have it. You sit there, vibrating with the cortisol of unreturned messages and the phantom pains of rejection, not realizing that the person who was rejected is a character you no longer need to play. Society fears your death because a dead man cannot be taxed, marketed to, or manipulated through guilt. While you are alive in your old form, you are predictable. You are a data point in an algorithm of mediocrity. But when you execute your ego, when you perform the radical Machiavellian act of self-extinction, you become a void. And the void is the only place where true power is born. This is not a gentle self-care retreat. This is a tactical assassination. You are the hitman, the victim, and the witness. You must look into the mirror and see the nice person who let everyone walk over them, the people-pleaser who traded their soul for a smile, and the failure who thinks their past is a life sentence, and you must kill them all, without mercy and without a funeral. Stoicism, through the eyes of Seneca and Epictetus, teaches us that most of what we call our identity is actually a collection of external attachments. You think you are your job, your relationship status, or your reputation, but these are merely the costumes of a stage play that has been running for too long. The audience is bored, and the lead actor, you, is exhausted. To die is to walk off the stage, rip off the costume, and burn the theater to the ground. It is the realization that the opinion of the crowd is a currency that has suffered a total market crash. You are currently bankrupt because you are trying to pay for your self-worth with other people's pennies. By dying to your old self, you are declaring immediate sovereign bankruptcy on the expectations of the world. You are reclaiming your temporal capital, the only currency that matters, and you are moving your headquarters into the shadows. Look at the satirical tragedy of the modern glow-up. It is usually just a 2D character getting a new haircut and a gym membership while still holding the same desperate, vibrating smartphone. They haven't died. They've just put on a fresh coat of makeup. True transformation requires the smell of smoke. It requires the absolute cold-blooded rejection of everything you used to be. You must become a ghost in your own life. You must vanish from the digital maps of those who devalued you, not to win the breakup, but because the person they knew has ceased to exist. In the Machiavellian theater, invisibility is a weapon. When you kill the old you, you remove the handles by which the world used to pull you. You become untraceable, unbotherable, and entirely your own. You are no longer a character being animated by the whims of the herd. You are the silent architect of the void. The funeral of your former self requires no mourners and certainly no flowers. It is a cold, private execution carried out in the silent hours of a Tuesday morning. Observe the satirical wreckage of your ossified personality, the nice guy who apologized for the weather, the reliable friend who was really just an unpaid therapist, and the ambitious dreamer who spent more time scrolling through hustle porn than actually building an empire. In the 2D animated theater of your past, these characters were your comfort zone, but in the Machiavellian reality of the present, they are weights tied to your ankles as the tide comes in. You must look at these versions of you with the clinical indifference of a surgeon removing a tumor. They served their purpose, they kept you safe, they kept you small, and they kept you manageable. But safety is the grave of greatness. To be reborn, you must first become a stranger to everyone who thought they knew you. Imagine the little vector-animated people in your life, your toxic ex-partners, your manipulative coworkers, your friends who only call when they need a favor, poking your corpse with a digital stick. They are confused. They send the check-in text. They try to trigger the old guilt. They use the ancient passwords of shame that used to unlock your entire psyche. But the server is down. The person they are trying to reach has been liquidated. This is the ultimate anti-manipulation baseline. You cannot be controlled if the person they are trying to control no longer exists. Machiavelli noted that a ruler must be able to change his nature with the times, becoming a lion to frighten the wolves and a fox to recognize the traps. You have spent your life being a sheep trying to win a Best Fleece Award. That sheep is dead now. The new entity is something the world doesn't have a label for yet, and in that lack of labeling lies your absolute power. Why do you still hesitate at the edge of the grave? Are you afraid of the silence? You have been addicted to the noise of external validation for so long that the quiet of your own sovereignty feels like a vacuum. But Marcus Aurelius would tell you that the inner citadel is built in that very silence. It is the place where the opinions of the screaming masses are recognized as mere vibrations in the air, irrelevant to the core of your being. By dying, you have performed a radical act of stoic detachment. You have realized that your reputation is not something you own. It is a ghost that lives in the minds of others, and you have finally stopped trying to haunt it. You are no longer performing a role in a play written by people who don't even like you. You have taken the pen, you have turned the page, and you have found that the rest of the book is blank, waiting for the ink of your absolute volition. The satirical tragedy of the human condition is our desperate attempt to remain consistent. We feel a misplaced loyalty to the mistakes we made 10 years ago, as if changing our minds is a betrayal of our soul. But the strategist knows that consistency is the hobgoblin of small minds. To die today is to grant yourself the divine permission to be completely, utterly different tomorrow. You are a biological organism designed for evolution, not a statue designed for a museum. When you kill the old you, you are shedding a skin that has become too tight for the expanding muscles of your ambition. You are stepping out of the 2D animated world of social expectations and into a 3-dimensional reality where your value is not a negotiation, but a fact. You are the architect, the executor, and the heir to your own rebirth. As you walk away from the smoldering ruins of your old identity, you feel a strange, weightless clarity. The cortisol levels drop. The need to be understood evaporates. You look at the world not as a victim looking for shelter, but as a sovereign looking at territory. You have achieved the ultimate Machiavellian victory. You have conquered your own need for the world's permission. You are no longer a character being animated by the whims of the crowd. You are the silent force that moves through the world, unbothered, untraceable, and whole. The death was not a tragedy, it was a purification ritual. You have chiseled away everything that wasn't you, and what remains is a diamond of self-sovereignty that no social storm can scratch. You are finally magnificently alone in the temple of your own worth, and for the first time in your life, the silence sounds like freedom. The old version of you didn't have the strength to carry the weight of your future, so you did the kindest thing possible. You let it go. You are reborn not into a new job, a new relationship, or a new city, but into a new relationship with existence itself. You are the ghost in the system that now owns the machine. You have learned that the only way to truly live is to realize that the person you were yesterday was just a rough draft for the masterpiece you are creating today. The most dangerous person in any room is the one who has already died to the world's expectations and no longer needs an audience to exist.